Roger Stone here. Your dollars are losing ground, but gold isn't. American Sovereign Bullion helps you protect your wealth through real, tangible assets. Through their nationwide wholesaler network, you get some of the best pricing on gold and silver delivered straight to your door. Since 1912, the U.S. dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to prove its strength. So call 844-272-2428. That's 844-272-2428. Or visit DyingDollar.com to request your free gold and silver guide. That's DyingDollar.com.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Mr. President, he said, tonight we're going to hit him very, very hard. And I'm taking personal interest in this because my daughter, my Ava, she's in Tel Aviv right now. And I know that Israel is not taking part in this bombing, but it doesn't matter. Iran hits him. So if Trump is true to his word and we hammer Iran later on tonight, that makes me nervous with Ava there. And, of course, I'm supposed to go to Israel a week from today. And I care less about myself and my daughter, of course, but I'm not worried about my safety. I just think they may cancel the whole trip. And I'm supposed to speak at this huge international policy summit with Bibi and Mike Huckabee, Mark Levin, all of us. But who knows now? So he is saying, quote, we will be hitting Iran very hard tonight. Let me get Katie Pavlich's opinion on this. Again, 10 p.m. weeknights, News Nation. My friend Katie Pavlich. Trump is once again showing the opposition the playbook. He doesn't seem to care, Katie. He says, we're coming at you later on tonight. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's past time. I think it's far past time that we take something valuable from the regime as they continued, as the Secretary of War said yesterday, tapping us along, doing what they've always done, which is lying, acting in bad faith, claiming that they want some kind of deal while they demand lots of money, which they'll use just to rebuild their ballistic missile program and ultimately their nuclear program. I think that the president should ask the American people for some more time. I keep hearing that, wow, this is dragging on. It's only been 4 months, and this is a big task ahead of us that we've been dealing with for 50 years, and it's time that it finally end. So I respect that the president is moving forward, but I think we should have done this 3 weeks ago.
Totally agree. Tuesday night, I remember tweeting that night, I'm getting a bad feeling. It was about 6 o'clock. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, President Trump said, I'm giving him 10 more days. This is a Tuesday night, remember? And I'm like, come on. Just do it already. Stop threatening to do it. And I don't want civilians to die. I'm a nice guy. I'm a very nice guy. I don't want to see innocent people die, but this is war. Enough is enough of this nonsense. Go in there, take Cork Island, blow it. Do what you got to do, because the constant stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, we don't look very strong. And honestly, Iran looks like at times they're holding the cards, and that's ridiculous.
Well, and ceasefires, tend to put you in a position where you have to retake ground or retake opportunities that you already fought for. Now, it seems like there's a lot going on over the last 3 weeks covertly that we haven't quite been told about yet. Yesterday, President Trump from the Oval Office said that they'd been escorting 100 million barrels of oil out of the Strait of Hormuz and out of the Gulf.
Yeah.
So that, there were some things that were happening strategically with the ceasefire that were useful. But just given the way that the regime is waiting out the president, hoping that, someone comes along next time in the White House who isn't as tough on Iran, the time to do it is now if we're going to do it. And, if you're going to go in, you should go in all the way. You shouldn't go in halfway.
Right.
And from the beginning, that's been Trump's posture, which is why the ceasefire was surprising. I don't think he's delusional about who these people are. I think he perfectly understands who they are and how they've behaved over the past 50 years. And you mentioned the Israelis. They may not be involved now, but they may become involved. We'll just have to see.
No, they will become involved eventually. And, the media loves Katie Pavlich, I guess, developing this lie, which they lie about everything about Israel. Israel's committing genocide. No, not even close. Not even close. But they also want to build this lie that Trump and Bibi don't get along anymore. And
Right.
Trump did admit last week that he used the F word. He doesn't care. He's done it with me. He does it with everybody. He loves you. In fact, I think if he uses the F word, that means he really loves you. But the truth is, him and Bibi have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. They love each other. They're a great 1-2 combination. In fact, I believe this is the best we've ever had with Trump in America and Bibi in Israel. And they're going to be okay. But you would admit that Israel now is in a bit of trouble because, look, Iran can't reach Brooklyn. They can't reach Cincinnati. So when things start getting rough in Iran, who do they hit? Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jerusalem. So people in Israel right now, as you could imagine, are very concerned.
Yeah, of course. But, the people in Israel want this to be finished more than anybody else.
Correct.
They're pretty furious that there's been this ceasefire, that they've been having their hands tied when it comes to taking out Hezbollah and Lebanon as their soldiers are being killed by these drones. I say ceasefire lightly. I always say Israel and the U.S. cease, and then the Iranians fire through their proxies or directly from Iran. So the president has known Bibi, as you mentioned, for a long time. I remember flying with President Trump to NATO last summer, and that was right after Midnight Hammer, and he was quite frustrated with the current situation. And then 9 months later, we conducted what we're doing now in Epic Fury. So, there are timelines here that we're not aware of, and I am confident that the president wants to get this job done.
And you're right about the Israelis. They want nothing short of total annihilation. They don't want to worry. You talked about if we give them money, and we better not, because, look, the truth is a deal makes no sense. Why does it make no sense? I'll tell you why. They're not going to comply. Obama and Kerry tried it. They're not going to comply. You can open the strait. And if you give them money, if God forbid we give them money, not only will they rebuild their own missiles and go further and make a nuclear weapon, that money's going right back to those terror proxies, Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas. Next thing you know, Israel's going to take a nuke. So you cannot give these people any money. I'm not sure we understand that, Katie.
Well, we should understand it because of their behavior over the last, even, recent history, let's just say 15 years, when, the Obama deal went through, they became even more emboldened, more violent. We're building their ballistic missile program at levels that we hadn't seen before. But the question, I think, is, are we going to continue to manage this threat? I heard Vice President J.D. Vance the other day on Fox talking about how we need verification and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, so how much of this is going to be just managing this problem as we have tried in the past, or are we going to end this threat once and for all? And so I know that's a difficult, tall task, but, we've been managing this issue for years and years, and it's only gotten worse.
Yeah, 47.
So are we managing it, or are we ending it?
End it. 47 years is a long enough experiment for me. Katie Pavlich,
Exactly.
the host of Katie Pavlich Tonight. She's terrific, 10 p.m. every weeknight on NewsNation. So the Democrat Party has, they're rotten, they're disgusting, they're despicable people. Even people that 20 years ago were not horrible people like Chuck Schumer, they've turned into terrible people. And boy, was it on display this week up in Maine. I mean, there's not one, there's not two. There's like 10 reasons why you would hate a guy like Graham Plattner. And there's Bernie Sanders and all these Democrats from Booker to Jeffries who are not above at the very least, trying to help the guy win. Graham Plattner, if that's the face of the Democrat Party, and it is, how much trouble is that party in?
The Democratic Socialists of America are taking over the Democratic Party. They saw an opening in New York City, as you know, with Mayor Mamdani running against Cuomo, thinking that Cuomo was a bad candidate, an older candidate who, represented the establishment. They came in with someone younger and took that seat. They're doing the same thing in Maine. They saw an opportunity where the incumbent, Janet Mills, the governor who was running for U.S. Senate, who eventually dropped out of the race, that she was not what they want for the new face of the party. And they got in there, and now Graham Plattner is the nominee. They're doing this in primaries across the country, and it's a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. Whether that will be successful in the mainstream is to be seen. They, like typical communists, they talk in slick terms. They use great propaganda. It looks really nice. They make socialism look like something that is actually a successful form of governance, when we know, thousands of years of history proves that that's not true.
Right. Never works.
So they're making it look really sexy, but it's not. And so, it's to be seen whether the rest of America falls for this.
Making it look sexy. I just saw you last week on 42nd Street and 3rd Avenue. You were here, and most of my segment with you was, we talked about this young 27-year-old Jewish lady who got attacked by some maniacal black lady saying that Jewish people eat children. She pulled her hair out of her head. Another disgusting anti-Semitic attack in New York. And by the way, to this day, the mayor has still said nothing about that. So I'm not sure what sexy is these days, but you were just in New York City with this lowlife jerk-off jihadist at the helm. Sorry, Katie. You think New York looks sexy these days?
I don't think so, but they put out this propaganda and all this stuff, just like you've seen in regimes of the past, and they make it look really, really appealing until you live in it, and it's not. So that's, it's certainly a fraudulent way to present a type of living. But when it comes to, the mayor not saying anything about that young Jewish woman who he had on the show, it's because he's fine with it. I mean, he called for intifada. His wife is, a pro-Hamas artist. I mean, these people believe in terrorism against Jews. I don't know why anybody is surprised that he wouldn't be saying anything about this.